The Morgan Report is sponsored by El Tigre Silver Corps, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol ELS.V. El Tigre Silver Corps is a new startup silver company located in the prolific northeastern Sonora state of Mexico. We're joined now by the silver guru, David Morgan of The Morgan Report. His website is silver-investor.com. Mr. Morgan is one of the most preeminent world experts, not just in silver, gold, and precious metals, but related issues in the mining sector. David, welcome back to the Opportunity Show.
It's great to be with you as always.
You've sent me a link to your YouTube channel called Silver Guru, and I've just watched your video entitled A Frightening Worldwide Currency Crisis. I have to tell you, it is a frightening scenario that you portray. This particular video, as I'm looking at it, has over 100,000 hits. What's going on?
Well, this is something I did quite some time ago. When I started the speaking circuit, I always try to do my best, as I'm sure all the speakers do. And, you know, I do a little bit different type of stuff than maybe some of the other guys. I mean, I was one of the early adopters of the Internet, for one thing. And on top of that, I started on the video side of things before even YouTube even began. Unfortunately, that other business venture failed a little bit, I guess, ahead of our time, you might say, and a little too costly at the time because it didn't have the streaming technology that we now enjoy. Anyway, back on point, I put together a very small clip of a docudrama from the movie Rollover. Now, this movie Rollover was made, I think, about 1980. It was basically put out into the public theater market in the United States right about the top of the gold market. But in this scenario that I outlined in this little video clip that you're referring to is the fact that there is a worldwide currency crisis, and it all starts due to Arab oil money and their mistrust of what's going on in the U.S. markets. So what happens is it's, 1980, so remember the technology is not what we have today. There's no such thing as a BlackBerry in 1980. But the teletype service comes across all of the major banks in New York City, and basically the Arabs are saying we want our cash back. So there's a big scene in the movie showing where all of this, all the assets have to be sold. And the lead trader in this scenario tells everybody on the trading floor they have to basically sell everything. And what happens is, during this pandemonium that breaks out, he told them ahead of time if there's any bullion out there to grab what they can get. Well, as this thing is unfolding, the stock market is falling rapidly, the U.S. dollar is falling rapidly, interest rates are going through the roof, no one's buying any foreign exchange in the trading room on his command. One of the lead traders comes up to his desk and says that gold just went over $2,000 the ounce, and he looks her in the eye and says, by tonight, that will be cheap. Now, this, of course, I want to be very clear, and I want to emphasize the point is kind of a worst-case scenario. Whether or not it'll ever happen like this, I doubt it. But I think it's a good thought experiment to really shake up and wake up people, because as long as hard as I've worked in this industry, it seems that the vast majority of the people that I encounter outside of the resource sector that attend some of these conferences basically don't believe it. And I think that's okay. I think that you are allowed to believe whatever you want to believe. But I also believe that you should at least hedge your bets. So if you believe that there's an impossibility of any problems in the currency markets, then you should obviously not invest any money in the precious metals, so you'd have a zero exposure. But if you believe that there's a 1% possibility of something going wrong, then you should probably put 1% of your assets into something that's contra to the currency markets, and that would be, gold and silver. Or if you thought there was maybe a 10% probability, then maybe 10% of your assets should go into the precious metals-related investments. Probably, for most people, 50-50, meaning half would be in physical metal, and the other half could be in, top-tier mining companies such as your Newmonts or your Pan Americans, that type of thing, where you really got a solid investment. So 10% is what I recommend for most people. Because the facts are what they are, and it's very simple to tell the truth. And the truth is there's never been a financial system based on a fiat currency that survived. Never once. Not one time. And so the idea is very clear. If your bet is that the U.S. dollar is going to trump gold, or that the euro will trump gold, or that the dinar will trump gold, or that any of these paper currencies floating around the currency markets that everybody's trading madly every day are going to make it in the long run, I think that's a bit naive, to put it politely. I think the facts are loud and they're very clear, and I think they're getting stronger. And I believe that this summer, Ellis, is going to be the time where by the end of this summer, probably September, it's going to be a fact that most Americans have woken up to the absolute truth that there is no such thing as security in a paper currency. Now, I'm not saying they're going to zero like this movie portends, but what I am suggesting is that people are going to see the high unemployment, the unavailability of jobs, increase in costs in things they need like food and energy. And basically, the word depression comes from basically the psychology. Is people get depressed because they don't see a bright future. And I'm not trying to be a doom and gloomer. I really don't like putting fear into anybody. I actually like to put in courage into people. I like to put a high status of being themselves and understanding that self-responsibility is probably the highest state you can attain as a human being. I don't want to digress too far. So back on point, look, you've got a choice to make. Every day you have a choice. But financially, the choices are very clear. You can either put your faith in a system that is shown to be full of liars, cheats, gamblers, and Ponzi schemes, or you could put some of your assets as something that is outside of any one human's domain. I mean, let's face it, but when I came from the aircraft industry, and this is pointed out by several people, and I like to throw it out time and again, when you have a survival kit, I mean, it's pretty clear what a survival kit is. And what's in that survival kit is a compass, a survival knife, a thermal blanket, and a gold coin. Now, why would you get a gold coin and not a $20 Federal Reserve note? It's obvious. Gold is spendable anywhere in the world and recognized anywhere in the world, and that's why it's there. So really, I think it's very simple. If you want to secure an asset that basically may really, really be important for you and your family, then I suggest highly that you look again at the precious metals, regardless of today's price. And I've come across a program, Ellis, that I'm very, very confident in. It's one that's very simple to implement. It's in the physical realm, and it's multifaceted and not too complicated. In fact, it's very simple. You can either buy the metal, it's silver, and have it delivered on a monthly basis, or you can store it. It is insured storage. It's one of the best facilities that I know of, and then you can take it out of there from time to time or leave it there. That's your choice. Personally, I store it on about a 6-month basis, and then I take it in my own possession. To get to this and understand more about it, I developed a landing page, and it's silver123.net. Again, that's silver123.net or silver123.net. And that will put you on a landing page that explains the whole program. It's a weighted dollar cost average. And when I wrote the 10 Rules of Silver Investing back about 10 years ago, I emphasize this point. The best way to really approach the market in a bull market is the dollar cost average. This is perfect when you're buying the physical metal, because when the price dips down, rather than getting mad, you actually are buying more metal. And when the price is high, you're actually buying less metal because you're using the same dollar amount every month. For an example, $50 per month. And on that basis, if silver is low, you're buying more ounces, and when it's high, you're buying less ounces. But over the long term, you'll actually have a very good price as the bull market continues to increase in paper terms.
Once again, the website that you referred to is silver123.net. That's silver123.net. David Morgan, the Silver Guru, thanks again for joining us today on The Opportunity Show.
My pleasure, Ellis. Thank you.
The Morgan Report has been sponsored by El Tigre Silver Corps, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol ELS.V. El Tigre Silver Corps is a new startup silver company located in the prolific northeastern Sonora state of Mexico.